Hi and welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben and this is my season 3 for The Boys theories, kind of guessing where it's going. I've done a little bit of research, so hopefully it'll be fairly accurate. So maybe you can chat to me in the comments below where you think it's going to go. Give me some pointers if you have read the graphic novels, although they've already kind of veered off of what they're doing from the graphic novels to the TV series. Also doing my best moments from season 2. Let me know, what was your favorite moments in season 2? Did I miss any out that you wanted me to talk about? We can talk all things, boys, but for now I'm going to start with the season 2 best moments. So out of the first 3 episodes, which was released frustratingly for fans because everybody wanted them, as they usually do, just dump the whole lot and everybody can just binge watch the whole lot. Unfortunately, that's not what they did, so everybody got to see the first 3 episodes. In those first 3 episodes, there was an amalgamation of kind of bringing the group back together, kind of trying to see both sides of where we left them, what was happening. But for me, the best kind of moment where we get to see, we're watching the boys again, was really the whale scene. So where the boys are finally going to do some action, they're in a speedboat, and we have the Deep there standing on top of the whale proudly, like he's done his job, like he's finally going to do something to get himself back into the 7. And we see his face turn from something that looks like pride to fear. And before he can say please don't, the speedboat smashes into the whale, and we have one of the goriest, grossest, funniest scenes in The Boys. And that was such a way to kind of cement what was going on in The Boys. Like, oh yeah, did you forget what you were watching? This is what it's about. The fact that Huey wouldn't get out, like he'd had enough, he was like, no, I'm just going to stay here. I'm good.
Yeah, you guys go ahead. I'm good.
I just thought it was an excellent direction moment because it just added that weight and levity of what was going on. It was funny, but the characters are going through a rough time, they're tired. And then immediately afterwards, we have that encounter in the tunnels with Homelander and Starlight, where Starlight is forced basically to try and kill Huey.
All right, hands in the air. Like you just don't care.
So it's tension, it's action, very, very interesting scene. According to the makers and behind the scene footage, if you watch my VR virtual experience of The Boys recently, it's on my channel, so you can go check it out. There is a behind the scenes interview where they talk about how they made the whale, and it's like fully made up prosthetics, one of the biggest and nastiest I guess on-set moments that they've had to experience, but I guess the actors really like that. Most of my favorite moments in season 2 come from Homelander, actually, because he's such an interesting character. You always kind of want to know more about him, what's happened in his past, and we get to find out a lot of that. But every time he's on screen, you do kind of want to know what he's going to do, but you also are very worried about what he's going to do. So that keeps watching him very interesting. He always feels like whenever he's in the room, he's going to laser beam the crap out of you, or just, rip your body in half. And he does do that occasionally, not nearly as much as I wanted him to do in season 2. I really felt like they held back Homelander in this season. We didn't get to see him let rip. There was a moment where Homelander is having a vision. He's doing one of those things that he has to do and talk to people when you can totally see he just hates people. He considers himself to be a god. And so in the vision, he basically laser beams the entire city, that whole crowd in front of him, thousands of people. He just wipes them out. You can see that's what he really wants to do. He wants to let rip. That was the moment, because you didn't quite know that wasn't real. It scared the crap out of me. I was like, whoa, that's going to have a devastating moment and structure on the storyline. Obviously it was a vision and that didn't happen, and I was like, okay, wow. But still scary moment, one that really stood out to me. Obviously the sex scene with Stormfront and Homelander, where she says laser beam my tits, and they get it on by basically beating the crap out of each other and then having sex, so they destroyed the apartment. That I thought stood out to me because it's I did wonder how that would work if he ever had sex with a super, and obviously as soon as the Nazi lady appeared, we thought that was going to happen, and it did. Then talking about sex scenes, there was another one that Homelander had with a when we first saw the shifter, it was one of the original members. When we all went, hang on a minute, I thought she was dead. Had they tricked us somehow? That would be fairly impossible with how she died. And then we see it's a shifter, and so he's got some serious issues. He's making this dude shifter shift into the woman that used to provide breast milk for him, and have sex with her, or just be a child. That relationship was so messed up. It's obviously because of his upbringing. Now that we know that the Homelander upbringing was really messed up, and he's aware of it as well, which is where you get these really interesting real father moments with his son, where he genuinely seems to be loving on his son. And then you get the other moment where he pushes his son off the roof, trying to make him become as strong as he is. He obviously thought, because he's psycho, that his powers were kicking and he would fly. That didn't happen, obviously. Kimiko is one of my other favorite characters. Anytime she's on screen, even when she's doing nothing, I think the way she holds her performance, even though she doesn't speak that much, she has her own kind of sign language that eventually we see Frenchie finally starting to learn, which was great. The first word being gun, which was I thought was a real kind of emotional moment. It was nice to see them finally getting on the right footing, because that relationship has been strained since the death of her brother, obviously. But when Kimiko has her action scene in the bar, it was one of their most brutal scenes, and that's saying a lot, because she rips that guy's face off, like I think from mouth to jaw, and just kind of rips his head off. And yeah, I didn't see that coming. That was really gross. I think she ripped someone's throat out. Really nasty. Totally Kimiko. I don't think there were very many emotional moments that actually got me. I didn't feel that much for the characters in this. I was more along in the ride. I think I felt more for them in the season 1. But when Butcher finally meets Becca, after all that time, it was a real emotional moment. Like finally, his family, his loved one. And then the fact that he didn't get to stay with them was heart-wrenching. I thought that was a clever writing moment, because you give your character something and then you take it away, and that keeps you invested, and I thought that was quite clever. In episode 5 we finally get to see something of Black Noir, and this is something that fans have been asking for quite a while. We want to see more Black Noir. We want to see more Black Noir. We get to see Black Noir. It's a very short fight scene, but what we do get was a great fight scene, but we get the brutality. He's like a Terminator, and had he not been ordered to stop, he probably would have won and killed them all. I believe that. And so we get to see a little bit of who he is without his mask being revealed. Obviously, the way that he gets taken out later on, I don't know, is that accurate in the comics? I don't think it is, with the nut allergy. I just thought that was weak, and it felt like they just suddenly wrote him out. Maybe it was for comedic effect, and they thought that would really work and be funny, but I really wanted more from that character. So the super terrorist hospital, where they're growing bad guys and giving them powers with VR and seeing who survives, has to be probably my favorite scene, I would say. I'm still thinking about it, but I think it's my favorite scene of the entire series, where you get to see the superpowers manifest in really different ways. And so we see Lamplighter, who I thought was excellent, until he torched himself and killed himself. Like, come on, man, what a waste. Loved his character, loved what he could do. We see Explodey Girl, who we all thought was the Explodey head person, which was probably my favorite scene in season 7, where everybody's heads just kind of explodes. However, that scene was definitely stolen by the creativity of Massive Penis Dude. I didn't see that coming at all, and I was like, what? I was laughing my head off, because I didn't expect that. When it shrunk back into his trousers, their faces was priceless. The fight scene with Starlight, Maeve and Noir I thought was interesting, but it only had weight to it because we had the Huey hero. This guy with no powers goes to rescue Starlight in Vought. He's going into the lion's den, and I thought that was a great moment for Huey, the hero. And he does rescue her, and he does kind of win the day. He has kind of been the hero, trying to keep the group together, while Butcher has been in the mopes for some of those episodes. So 8 is obviously going to be the fight scene between Maeve and Stormfront, and Starlight and the boys. Stormfront is basically holding her own for quite a while, kicking their ass, and then they come back and start kicking the crap out of her for about a minute, and then she flies off. And where she lands was not ideal, because she grabs, obviously, Butcher's wife. Butcher's son gets really upset. His powers are engaged, and he kills both Stormfront and the wife. And at that moment, I really thought Butcher was going to kill the boy. I really thought that that was going to be the end of his character. I'm quite surprised that that didn't happen. It was only because of the promise. There was some humanity left in him, but he doesn't see him as his son or a boy. I think he just sees him as a weapon. So this brings me to theories of season 3. Obviously, if you're a fan of The Boys, you would have heard that even while the second season was running, they renewed it for a third season. They've obviously got great pride in their series and faith that it's going to do well. Thankfully, we actually got the entire second season before kind of COVID really hit. They'd finished it back in March. And so it looks like their shooting schedule is going to be in January, February, March, around that time. So I believe that it's all on schedule and it's not being held back. So hopefully we will get the third season towards the end of 2021. Fingers crossed. But the big news for season 3 will be the fact that Jensen Ackles, obviously if you're a fan of Supernatural, you will be sad that the series has finally finished after so many seasons, but you'll be happy that he's coming into a new franchise, and hopefully we'll see him as this character for a long while. So in an article with Variety, they say Ackles will portray Soldier Boy, aka the original superhero in the streaming drama. After Soldier Boy fought in World War II, he became the first super celebrity and mainstay of American culture for decades. So apparently in the comics, Soldier Boy actually supposedly dies, and then he disappears, but obviously that's not true, and there's a reason that he's come back. So his death was faked from his celebrity status. So obviously he's going to be a big part of the storyline. He is of similar I guess origins to Captain America. Obviously it's part of the Seven, and all of these superheroes seem to be evil in some way. So he'll be a parody of Captain America. But as for where the series is going to go, a couple of the big storylines is definitely going to be to do with the son manifesting his powers and how the government are going to change him. I do feel like the storyline is going to go that way, the same as Homelander. They're going to create a weapon, they're going to use a weapon to fight against Homelander. So in a sense, we're going to end up with 2 Homelanders. I feel like the son's going to be as powerful as his dad, if not more. He's got youth on his side. But the boy, although we want the boy to stay good, I do feel like he's going to be good, kind of. But because he no longer has a mother and Butcher isn't involved, it's all going to be military. It's all going to be grounded. You must do it this way. And so if that kid lets rip after he's trained, he could be way worse than Homelander. So that it could end up the boys having to go against their promise, or Butcher's promise, and taking down this kid. Although they may not want to do that because they might have to sync up and hook up with this new super that's supposedly on their side, or the government side, to take down Vought and Homelander. At the same time, Huey goes off on his own. He wants to stand on his own 2 feet. He kind of says goodbye to the boys' team, and he's obviously still staying with Starlight because he loves her. But he doesn't know that he's walked into the lion's den. He thinks that this lady is good. But it was obviously revealed that she is Explodey Head person that nobody saw coming. I feel like this is going to be a big part of season 3, where they continue to try and take down the villains, and I feel like there's going to be a few villains that have been let out from the hospital and other places that will still be going on. Part of the boys' kind of regrouping is to deal with that. Huey's going to be a double agent without knowing it, so he probably will eventually join up with the boys again, and he will be feeding information without knowing it, because he'll be in the lion's den without knowing it. So whose side is she actually on, is my question to you. Is she one of the supes that is actually good and trying to take down the supes, or is she a spy of her own? If that's the case, then the boys are in trouble, because on both sides, they're when they think they're working with the government, they're actually not, and Vought have the upper hand, which it does seem like is always the case. I think the Deep is finally going to get a lot more screen time in season 3 because he was so left to the side, and his whole storyline was basically about trying to redeem himself into the Seven, and the church obviously let him down big time. I think he may go fully evil, or he may join the boys. I don't know if they would take him on, but if they could have a super somehow, I just don't see him doing that. I do feel like he's gonna go cray cray though. I feel like we're going to see a lot more of the Deep. A-Train is back. He says his heart is no longer in trouble, and so he's going to be a big issue for them. Starlight seems to be still in the Seven. She is going to be... I think Starlight's going to die, which might bring the thing that brings the boys back together. Huey is going to be Darkseid. He's going to be really upset, and so when Starlight is killed, that is the kind of the instigating moment for bringing the group back together. I think there's going to be a lot going on in season 3. I also think they're going to announce season 4 and 5 officially in season 3, like they did for season 2 and 3. I know they've got a few storylines to go. I don't think they're going to wrap this up anytime soon. They've already announced a side story from the boys, so you know the world is just ever expanding. So there are a lot of threads to pull on. Homelander. I don't think Homelander is going to care anymore what Vought think. I think there's going to be a moment where he actually snaps because he wants his son, and so we'll see that we find that moment that we finally get to see where he just doesn't give a crap. I think season 3, if they go that way, where my theories have suggested, where I hope they're going, it could be a really interesting series. And like I said in my season 2 reviews a couple of times, that season 2 could be much better when we have season 3 already aired, like the Star Wars trilogy. You know, Empire Strikes Back is great because of Return of the Jedi. Had there only been Empire Strikes Back, that wouldn't have felt right. So now, when season 3 airs, I think season 2 is gonna feel much better because they did so much character development in this season. So let me know in season 3. Let me know your theories on season 3, where you think it's going to go, what new character is going to do, what do you think Jensen Ackles' character is going to be like. Chat to me in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching this. Let me know if you want more boys content. We'll keep doing it if you guys enjoy it. Thanks so much for watching this, and as always, remember, live long and Tuesday.